Hey guys, Eastie here for another episode of Out and About Off-Road. Today's project, I'll let JC explain. It's kind of your series.
Yeah, so super excited. Today we are going to start to attempt an engine swap on the mighty Jimny here.
The mighty Jimny.
The mighty Jimny. So recently we took it up Rocky Track and it did well.
Send it. Left. That's it. Straight. Straight. Keep it going straight. Keep your foot in. Keep going. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Damn it, Jimny!
You!
Such a good little car.
But just in general day-to-day use, the Jimny lacks a bit of gusto. So we want to put a nice 1.6 Suzuki Sport engine in it to replace the 1.3, and that should give about a 49% gain in kilowatts.
That's huge.
And I think a 30% gain in torque. So we should get a pretty big boost. And then maybe we can take it back to Rocky Track and see how it goes again.
Take it back to the desert.
Take it back to the desert. See if we can get up the dunes this
really
time.
Struggled in that soft sand.
It did.
Anyone who's seen that episode for our desert trip, you would have seen it really struggled. Just as soon as it required torque, there was none.
Yes! Do it! Go! Yeah, and that was actually because of that trip. We got back from that trip, and 2 days later I had purchased the engine ready to put in because I was like, this is shit, I want to get more power out of it. But then, you know, it does fine elsewhere. But hopefully all goes smooth. We're going to record the whole thing. And yeah, follow us on the journey. Cool.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Cool. Chunky boy. The burn marks. Does that cover go on the new engine?
No.
There's no one.
No, there's no one. Maybe I'll show you a bring one. Take the airbox off.
Plug on there. Clips on the other side.
Nice airflow.
Nice little Cayenne filter.
K&N, yeah. Yeah, it's in good nick actually still.
Oi.
There we go. Bit of big desert in there.
Just a bit.
And a bug.
And a bug.
Bug desert.
Bug desert.
Alright, gotcha. Nothing like opening a cap on a pressurised vessel.
It's fine. Relax. I was worried.
We're both like,
Yay!
Yankee now. How good was that?
That's so accurate.
These are full-time rollers to make.
Just thinking about how badly I don't want to have to pull this hose off and get coolant all over myself.
Can it be avoided?
No.
I'm ready to do it.
Can't get to it. That'd be nice. You can do it if you want.
I don't really want to.
Go on.
But I've got a black
It's just
shirt.
part of learning.
I've got a black shirt on without any white writing on it. So which hose is it?
The bottom radiator hose, the big one.
Ah, I see.
I could probably actually get to it from here a bit easier.
This one here. Yeah. There you go. Cool. Drip chase.
It's blue. Blood is blue. Take cap off, which is going faster. Keep turning.
Doesn't want to. Doesn't want to.
You cooked, mate? Just take the cap off. Are you cooked?
It needed to be pushed down and turned. Got it.
Didn't you know that?
No. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did you 3 attempts.
Exactly. I felt sorry for you.
What are you doing now, Tim? Trans lines?
Yeah. Bruce lines. Bruce juice cooler. Yeah.
It's like a good half centimetre bend.
Yes. It's my breaker bar.
Okay. Although the new one's got a 1.5.
Yeah, did they have a road test the 1.3 and go, actually,
Actually, this
sucks.
fucking sucks. More still. Might do it. It's got him.
I'm surprised your bell housing bolts might even be accessible. Still easier than the top bell housing bolts on the ZD30.
I've got to be careful because of the exhaust there. Is that other one loose?
Mm-hmm. The rear heater hose with the coolant temp sensor in there. We have to move that over because the heater hoses on the new engine's in a different position. That's actually where the top radiator hose comes out on the Swift Sport engine. So
There you go, that's what it says. Goosey goosey. So, because the Jimny has a different configuration, we have to move all these pulleys over from the Jimny engine to the Swift engine in order to run the radiator and everything right.
it's like that other hose. This one here is a different fitting on the Swift Sport. The radiator hose comes out in a different spot.
Yeah.
So we have to move that across as well.
Yep. And there's studs on the Swift Sport.
Yep.
And maybe one of those studs might fit where we had to weld and pull out that manifold stud.
Oh yeah.
One of the studs off the Swift Sport might do it.
I reckon we could replace that with the bolts. Hopefully this water pump's the same. Hopefully that doesn't differ, because that'll be a pain. 3.
One dead loom.
Suzuki Swift loom. Hey, I'm looming over you. Turn off too hard, you're throwing something.
Yeah, but what about this pipe that's running around?
Is it fixed to it?
Fixed to the water pump.
Yep, so unbolt it there.
How's it run on that one? Oh, water pump's different.
Is it?
Oh no, the Jimny water pump has to go there, I think. This pipe has to come out, but I don't quite know if that's...
Well, I reckon that's just an O-ring that pulls out, so you have to unbolt him here. And the whole thing just comes backwards.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Got him. Freedom. You've unbolted the outer bit.
Yeah, I unbolted both.
There's your thermostat.
Yeah.
It's clean. Pristine.
Excellent.
This is the equivalent Swift part with the sensor in it. Obviously we can't use. Grab a lever in from the side. Behind there. There we go. Yeah, easy. Nice clean gasket. Leave that on. We'll reuse that, I think. Interesting, yeah, it doesn't have that EGR. EGR was like here on the other one.
Yes.
I wonder if they're the same size, these little... Yes, I reckon the Swift is bigger.
I think you're right.
Way bigger. Lol, not even close. That's not gonna work, is it? How close is it?
Close, but not close enough.
Leaking around there. I wonder if we can tig them together.
It's unexpected.
Yeah, I thought that would be a straight swap. I said as much to the camera. We lied.
You did.
Sorry, YouTube. Not sorry. Show me both the parts.
Yeah, so it's not quite a, it's not a fit, and it's gonna...
Well, that's sort of supposed to go straight on there, which is totally different size.
So
what we might do is put this on, which is the Swift part. There's supposed to be a thermostat in there, and then that radiator hose comes off it. But since the radiator hose we don't need, we get rid of that. Blank off this face here with just a plate.
we only need one of these.
And then attach that to our heater hose outlet.
And then what,
swap
this
the
one we
sensor,
could
and then blank that off altogether.
blank it off with
We
a
can
bolt
just,
or something.
We can even just fill it in with aluminium on the TIG.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
That's pretty good. Good outcome.
and then we don't have to worry about like making an adapter for this to this or anything. And
yeah,
that's
and
nice
that's
and
actually
compact
pretty
actually.
compact. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more compact than this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have a clearance issue or not. I don't think we do, but
I don't think so. Not there.
helpful.
But,
Yeah. Easy result.
Just have to make sure this pipe has enough flex for the...
I think it came out this side like that, so this still comes out roughly the same size.
Okay. Yeah,
I
so
know
it's going to go
that
over
pipe
to...
is bigger, so maybe we use the smaller barb for the heater hose.
Yeah, but this pipe's going over to here anyway, so we can just maybe... Yeah, use the smaller...
Just cut a bit off there,
Yeah.
and then it's the right one.
Yeah. Okay.
See what fits. We use a like a worm drive hose clamp.
Yeah.
And you can get a bigger hose onto a smaller barb pretty safe, as long as there's not too much difference.
No, it's not a huge amount of pressure in that, is there, in that system?
You want it to be reliable, it is your cooling system.
Yeah.
Depressurizers in the desert, you're in trouble.
You know all about that?
I had no cooling issues.
This time?
On that trip.
Yeah.
Lol. Oh, that looks pretty cool. You see the veins of the pump in there? That's the water pump. So on this engine there was a pipe coming out here, and on the Jimny engine there's like an adapter that goes into the back of the pump housing. So the pump looks like it should be the same. We don't have to take the water pump off, just have to move this housing over, which provides the bottom radiator hose outlet. And it should be easy to do. So your fuel rail on the Jimny has a fuel pressure regulator here. So your fuel comes into the fuel rail pressurized, and then this lets out the excess pressure and returns it to the tank. Whereas the fuel rail on the Swift, I mean, it probably works the same way, but the regulator isn't on the rail. So we may have to either swap the rail if it's as simple as that, or buy an aftermarket regulator and do our own return, which is a solved problem. It's not hard to do.
Yeah.
Just you need to be able to buy a regulator.
I
don't know. I've not had to do it before, but hopefully not much. I mean, it's fairly straightforward.
It's okay.
You're not running crazy pressures or flows or anything, so a cheap unit should do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when you turbo this thing. Not if. When. So, interesting observation already is that the Swift head is only going to accept bolts from the Swift manifold. It doesn't have the threads there, so we can't put the Jimny manifold on this if we need to.
That's we threaded ourselves.
We threaded ourselves, which I'm not doing.
No.
We can try it now, but I don't reckon the manifold's going to pull that.
Well, I'm not going to be able to
Hangs down
sit
a
it
lot.
on with those.
No chance.
Can we relocate there? Could we just run the pipe? Like the Swift one ran the pipe?
What does that do? It gives us this output here, and this
Heater and...
hose output here.
What does this one do? That was running up to the...
Goes to the intake.
Yeah, to the air intake.
It's called the EGR.
Well, Swift doesn't have an EGR.
There's nothing that sits this manifold.
So we
yeah,
run the pipe.
We'll have to run the pipe and do some fabrication on it, really.
We could just cut it short, couldn't we? And then just run the hose down here, out of the way. Run the starter motor.
Cut it shorter and find a closer bolt hole and weld a new tab onto it. Just cut this tab off and weld it on.
Well, there's bolt holes here. We could weld a tab onto it and then bolt it to one of these holes. The one right under it even.
Yeah, that one there would be good.
So if we run that pipe and just tab it to one of those.
Yeah,
And then we just run the hose off over the engine mount between the starter motor and the alternator.
We could take it to someone who could bend it for us.
Is it necessary?
Bend it down, and then the hose will come into it that way.
Oh, because
this hose here, I reckon, is what we're going to need to run. And that obviously comes out there, so if we can bend it down and out a bit, that will fit into it.
But that'll let us get the manifold on,
Mm-hmm.
which is key.
And we don't need that outlet.
No,
because we're not going to
run EGR.
And you have a heater hose here. So we'll need to do that, maybe cut this off.
Weld it.
Cut this off the pipe.
Yep.
Drill a hole up here somewhere and weld it on to get on.
Okay, yeah.
And
so we've got a heater
buy
pipe.
some hose and run it straight under the manifold at the back.
Okay. So we need it to have a rolled end to hold the hose. Is that the problem?
Not really. I mean, you should, but you can also just put little tack welds around.
Like lumps.
Yeah, little lumps. It's not pretty, but
Can
it
you
works.
get like some
It'll
wire?
stop the clamp from slipping over.
Can you get some wire and make a ring and then just weld a ring onto it?
The tack weld, it works.
Okay.
So I've got that on my intake.
Yeah, and then just clamp it.
Control. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this engine's 2014. And the design is, it's a refined version of the M13A they had in the Swifts from when they sort of did the new remodel, up to 2014. And then they've refined this M16 version. But by comparison, the Suzuki Jimny engine, which was a 2016 engine, is a 2003 design. So this engine is a much more modern take on it, and consequently we've been talking about like not running an EGR a lot, and that's because this Swift engine as a 1.6 actually produces less pollution than the Jimny engine as a 1.3. So one of the good things about doing this is actually more environmentally friendly and doesn't need an EGR, less complicated. Should this standpipe
should allow us to put your filter straight on there. Do you have a new filter?
I don't have a new filter, but I'll have to get one.
Cool. Just watch the video on it.
Sharp.
Razor sharp.
Really? Yeah, so this standpipe here is for a Jimny oil filter, and so instead of running the oil cooler, we can just run this standpipe, and that'll let us just screw a oil filter on, conventional oil filter.
Hopefully we don't dust. Yeah. Trying to get any schmutz in the intake there. Hopefully we don't need these. I don't think we will, because we're going to be running pretty much everything off the Swift motor as is.
Ideally.
Ideally. Yeah.
That's it. Hello, engine.
Nice and clean.
It's good. Keep this footage so I can show whoever buys it how good a condition the engine's in.
There's your tone wheel you were talking about.
Yeah.
So I think the Haltech will be set up for the tone pattern on the M16A, so we don't need to change that over.
Yeah, 32 teeth and it's like 3222 or something.
So I think if anyone watching is planning to do this with keeping the original ECU, I think you can do it, but that's the tone wheel there that you need to change over.
Yeah, so this tone wheel controls the VPI timing, right?
Well, it just controls the crank position sensing, and because it sort of has a pattern in it, that's how the ECU knows which position the crank is in.
So it becomes predictable.
Yeah, and so they just changed the pattern for the M16A.
Yeah.
Which means
if you want to keep the
ECU wouldn't recognise it won't run.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people do the M16 body or the M15. Yeah, this M16 body with the M13 head. And
Block with the head.
Yeah, block and head, and that also means that you then have to run the.
You'd still need to change the tone wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, which means you have to pull the crankshaft out.
Yeah, if you're keeping the ECU, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
It needs that tone wheel.
Yeah, we're going Haltech ECU, so.
Everybody recognises the M16A.
Which is lucky, $1,500 lucky.
Yeah. Lucky you paid for it.
Yeah, lucky I paid for it.
Yeah.
So John's had to duck off home. I've been trying to get the sump off for ages and not had any luck, so might call it here for today. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll start putting it back in and doing some wiring and some fabrication should be good.